friends, students and learners, I am Shashank Srivastava from the School of Engineering and Technology in the Gandhi National Open University, and we are moving towards the end of our course, and in this session we will be discussing about surface treatment. Let's start with it. So what is surface treatment actually, why it is needed? So there are certain or numerous industrial applications which require a hard wear resistant surface, which is generally called the case, and inside we need a relatively soft, tougher thing. So that the soft inside is known as the core. So for that purpose we do the surface treatment. So there are 5 principal methods, which the first one is the carburizing, then the nitriding, for the cyaniding or carbonitriding, then flame hardening and induction hardening. And out of these 5, the first 3 actually we vary the chemical composition. Like in carburizing, we are adding carbon, and in case of nitriding actually we add both the nitrogen and carbon. So that is known as the carbonitriding, and then we have the last 2 ones, which is the flame hardening and induction hardening. So in these cases actually there is no such chemical addition, and what we do actually is that we are just heating them. So that process involves heating instead of addition of any chemical. So in flame and induction hardening, the surface must be capable of being hardened, and in the sense that proper carbon percentage is present. Then we move on to the protective type of coatings. So what are the coatings? Coatings are actually used on metal products for protective or for both protective as well as decorative purpose. And in general, coatings or finishes are used for purpose of decoration or surface protection, and then for corrosion resistance, and also for providing a hard wear resisting surfaces. So these are the 3 important things for which coatings are done. And actually the covering should be uniform and should be free from any kind of runs, checks or peelings. And most often we see that coatings are applied to finished components to form the final product, but in certain cases they may be used before also. Then we see what is the cleaning of the metals, why it is needed. So cleaning operations are performed both for preparatory purposes and for finishing also, and they are primarily used to remove the dirt, oil, oxides and any kind of scale that is formed. Generally scales are formed at high temperatures, and they are also used for removing harmful ingredients, and which generally affect the life of the product. And what are the types of the unwanted surface contaminants that generally exist? Like these are pigmented drawing compounds and unpigmented oil and grease. Then there are small chips and the cutting fluids which we are using. Rust is there, scale is there. Then polishing and buffing compounds and several other contaminants may also be there. Now, how we make the selection of the cleaning process, how it is influenced? It is mainly influenced by the type of contaminants and the composition of the surface metal, then by the degree of the cleanliness that is required, and the type of surface finish tolerance that we want, and further on the condition of the metal surface and the allowable metal loss, meaning how much we can allow the loss of the metal, and then on the production requirement, and finally on the cost as well. So cleaning process is generally classified as 2 types of cleaning, that is chemical cleaning and the mechanical cleaning. So first of all we will discuss about the chemical cleaning, and chemical cleaning includes many types which I am giving you here, like the alkaline pickling, the acid pickling, then the emulsified solvent cleaning, electrolytic type of cleaning, vapor degreasing and ultrasonic cleaning. So these are certain types of the chemical cleaning, and they are generally used to ensure clean parts and surfaces before the finish is applied. before any kind of finish is given, this type of chemical cleaning is done. And they may be used individually or in combination, depending upon the material to be cleaned and the effects that we desire. So like there are certain types given here, so we may be using only one of them, or we may be using 2 or 3 in combination. So first of all, alkaline type of cleaning, chemical cleaning. This one is quite efficient and economical in removing oil and grease by the saponification or emulsification process. So what is saponification? It involves conversion of fat, oil or lipid into soap and alcohol by the action of heat in the presence of aqueous alkali. So this is the process of saponification. And mineral, lard and unpigmented drying compounds are also very easily removed by the alkaline type of cleaners. Silicones, paraffin and sulfurized, oxidized or carbonized oils actually are difficult to be removed by this type of process. So if you see, these are the limitations of this alkaline type of cleaning. Further, we move on to the acid, the second subdivision of the chemical type of cleaning, acid pickling. So this one actually is the most common type of method which is used for removing unwanted pigmented compounds which are mostly oxides of the metal. So for removing metal oxides, this acid pickling process is the best one. And what we do in this process actually, we use diluted sulfuric, hydraulic or phosphoric acid, and this acid is sprayed on the part, or the other way around, part is dipped into a tank and it is agitated thereafter and further washed and rinsed thoroughly. Sometimes it is necessary actually to add pickling inhibitors also. Like with this acid pickling we are using, we have to use inhibitors also. And what are those inhibitors? Like the detergents or the glycols, etc. There may be many. So why we use these inhibitors? To decrease the action of the acid, because acid may have some detrimental effect also. So we have to make a balance then, and we have to decrease the action of acid upon the metal, particularly in case of the aluminum type and some other non-ferrous metals. So acid pickling is also used in removal of oils and greases. So it is useful for this also, in addition to the metal oxide removal. In some applications, acid pickling is used to remove light rust also. And what are the drawbacks of this process? Drawbacks are as such, like they are chemically limited in their ability to remove polishing and buffing compound. And soaps and other hydrolyzable materials present in these compounds actually are decomposed by acid cleaners into insoluble materials. And acid cleaning of steel parts creates hydrogen, which is absorbed by the steel and causes hydrogen embrittlement. And we have read this term before also in the previous sessions, hydrogen embrittlement, and it is detrimental to the surface of the material. So what will be the solution for this? The hydrogen in the steel can be reduced by heating the parts after this pickling process. So after the acid pickling, we can heat the parts, so hydrogen embrittlement will not occur. After discussing the acid pickling type, we move on to the emulsified solvent cleaning, and this is used on such metals like zinc, lead and aluminium, since their surfaces might be attacked by the alkaline cleaners. So the first process of alkaline cleaner cannot be used in certain kind of metals like zinc, lead. So for that purpose we use emulsified solvent cleaning, and it is primarily designed to remove oil and grease. So what is the process for this type of cleaning? In this process, an organic solvent is mixed with a hydrocarbon soluble emulsifying agent. Again we are using hydrocarbon here, and the agent may be a soap and kerosene mixture with a small amount of water. Further cleaning is performed by dipping the parts in the solution and then they are rinsed. Workpieces with heavy deposits of oil and grease actually are soaked in this solution, and they are then rinsed in hot water, preferably by means of pressure spray, permitting them to be flushed away. So all impurities are flushed away when hot water is sprayed on them. And parts to be electroplated should afterwards be treated with alkaline cleaner to remove any organic material. So after doing this process, we can go for alkaline cleaning also, in case of electroplating things, because some organic material can be removed by that process. Then further moving on to electrolytic type of cleaning. So the term itself gives us a hint that it is based on electrolysis, and this is effective as a final cleaning process for removing oil and grease. So intermediate may be the other process, but this one is always the final one. So it gives us the machine surfaces when extreme cleanliness is required, and it is almost always used for final cleaning of steel parts prior to electroplating process. And the process for this electrolytic cleaning is like an alkaline cleaning solution is used with electric current passing through the bath, in which the part to be cleaned is one electrode. So the part that has to be cleaned is made as one electrode in case of this type of cleaning. So what happens then? It causes emission of oxygen at the positive pole, and hydrogen will be released at the negative pole. And the material from which the part is made and the cleaning action desired determine whether the part should be made the anode or cathode. So it depends on the type of the material and the cleaning action that we want to do. Whether this part should be made anode or cathode, it depends on this particular two types of things. Actually, at the cathode, a greater amount of gas is liberated than at the anode, and the hydrogen will have reducing action on oxides present. And the electrolytic action breaks up the oil film adhering to the metal surface, and thus results in chemically clean surface suitable for plating. And we need certain precautions also in this process, like chlorides should be carefully avoided, and the soap content should be low or excessive foaming, with danger of an explosion may take place if we don't avoid this chloride formation. So after discussing the electrolytic cleaning process, we move on to the vapor degreasing. All these are chemical only. Till now we are discussing the chemical type of cleaning process. So this is a very effective and most commonly used method for removing again varieties of oils and greases. This process gives us a high degree of cleanliness, and especially effective for removing soluble material from surfaces such as the rolled or welded seams, where other cleaners may be permanently entrapped. So in case if we are using other methods, so cleaners may get entrapped in certain parts. So in that process, what we can do, we use this process instead, vapor degreasing process. Vapor degreasing is particularly well adapted to cleaning oil impregnated parts, such as like bearings are there, or for removing solvent soluble oils from interior of storage tanks. So wherever the reach is not good, then we can go for this type of process, vapor degreasing. So now we discuss about the process itself. A solution known as the trichloroethylene is heated to the boiling point, and then a vapor is produced, and parts to be cleaned are suspended in this vapor. So whatever the vapor is produced after heating this trichloroethylene, in that vapor we place the part which has to be cleaned. Condensation of the vapor on the work. So when it condenses, this vapor condenses on the work, it will take away the grease and oil also with it. Vapor degreasing has found particularly value for cleaning of metal previous to process like lacquering, japanning, enameling, and general organic finishing. So these are certain processes which you may have read in your manufacturing science course. These are processes in that, and before these processes, this vapor degreasing can be used. It must also be followed in cleaning prior to plating, meaning prior to electroplating, by an alkaline cleaner to remove traces of organic matter. For organic matter, see, everywhere we are using alkaline cleaner. So it helps to remove the different kinds of impurities on the surface after degreasing. So after discussing certain number of chemical ones, we see the last type of this chemical type of cleaning, which is ultrasonic cleaning. Although its name doesn't reflect that it's a chemical type of cleaning, but it involves chemical, so it is meaning subdivided into chemical type only. So ultrasonic vibrations of sufficient power level is transmitted, and that causes cavitation. So cavitation is a process where low vapor pressure is there, so there are certain cavities containing those vapors. So many organic compounds are broken down by this cavitation, and you may have read in your fluid mechanics course also this cavitation. So the dirt and the grease clinging to the solid articles in an ultrasonic cleaning tank are ripped apart and emulsified. Frequencies of about 30,000 Hz, that is 30 kilohertz, very high frequency is given, and in this ultrasonic cleaning. So typical fluids used are water in this, to which a detergent or solvent such as cyclohexane and trichloroethylene, like we discussed earlier also, trichloroethylene, they are mixed. So you can see here that this chemical is coming here, that's why this ultrasonic cleaning is coming under this chemical type of cleaning. And what are the drawbacks? Actually more expensive than other methods because of initial cost of equipment and higher maintenance cost, and hence their use is largely restricted to applications in which other methods prove to be inadequate or unsuitable. So after discussing the chemical type of cleaning, which was the first type of cleaning, we move on to the mechanical type of cleaning. So this mechanical type of cleaning uses mechanical means, which is obvious from the name itself, and here we either can use any type of chemical cleaner or we cannot. So both chances are there, with or without any chemical cleaner, and they are primarily used for the purpose of removing all classes of rust and scale from our different processes like the milling, forging, casting and welding, etc. And scales are generally produced on a part when the metal is heated to elevated temperature, that was told to you earlier also. And mechanical cleaning may also be used for decorative purposes as in polishing. So in addition to the removal of impurities, we can use it for decorative purpose as well. And what are the types of these mechanical cleaning? There are basically 5 types which I am giving you here. And the first one is the abrasive blast cleaning, the next is the tumbling, then barrel rolling, then power brushing, and finally the mechanical polishing and buffing. So first we discuss about the abrasive blast cleaning. So this method is widely used for removing all classes of scale and rust from our forgings, castings, weldments and other heat treated parts. Depending upon the finish requirements, blasting may be the sole means of scale removal, or it may be used to remove the major portion of scale, with pickling being employed to remove the remainder. So here somewhere we can use this type of cleaning for a certain portion, and the other thing that can be employed along with this is the pickling, which we read earlier. So in this process of abrasive blast cleaning, parts are generally cleaned by the use of abrasive particles like the sand, steel grit or shot, which is impelled against the surface to be cleaned. So they will strike against the surface, and sometimes cleaning is performed by means of high velocity air blast also. So either we are striking with the help of particles or we are striking with air. So these 2 types of things are there. Air blast is also there, and blast is generally directed by the hand. And then there is one more thing, that is airless blast machine. So in addition to the air one, we have airless one also. So this one also cleans by impact, and the process is as such: the abrasive is fed from an overhead storage hopper to the center of a radially rotating wheel. So there is a wheel which is rotating and the material is being fed at the center of that, and then it will move out radially and strike the surface, whereupon the metallic shot or grit is hurtled in a controlled stream upon the work to be cleaned, and all traces of sand, scale, oxides and other materials are thus removed right down to the pure metal, providing an excellent surface for bonding final finishes. So this provides us a very good surface. And what are the applications of these? The airless blast machine is used for cleaning engine blocks, crankshafts, castings of different sizes and shapes, railroad cars, car wheels, oil and gas pipes, steel structures. So it has got many applications because it gives us a very good or excellent surface finish. Next process in mechanical type is the tumbling process, and this one is the least expensive process for removal of rust and scale from metal parts. So in this process, the workpiece is placed in a drum or barrel together with certain jacks, slugs or abrasive materials. So the abrasive materials can be like sand, granite chips, or either slag or the aluminum oxide pellets. And in this operation, the barrel will be rotated, and thus there will be movement of the workpieces, and surrounding that slugs or the abrasive materials which we place together will strike it and further remove the impurities from the surface of the workpiece. So this cutting action is there in this case, and it removes the flashes or the fins or scale from the workpiece. What are the applications and the limitations of this tumbling process? It is effective for removing rust and scale from small parts of simple shape. So even for small parts this can be used. But parts of complex shape with deep recess, meaning if there is a certain recess or certain complexity is there or irregularity is there, then it cannot be used for descaling purpose. And if we use it, then it may require several hours of tumbling process, so it will be time taking. And parts configuration and size are the primary limitations in this process. So we have seen that it can be used for small parts but without complexity. So that is a kind of limitation. And what precaution we have to take? The addition of descaling compounds instead of deburring compounds will actually help us to decrease the tumbling time by 75%. So we have to use descaling compounds instead of deburring. That is one precaution we have to take. Then the process of barrel rolling under the mechanical cleaning process. So this is similar to the tumbling one, except that in case of barrel rolling, this is loaded only up to 40 to 60% capacity, whereas in case of that tumbling, it was fully loaded. So abrasives like the cinders, slag, granite chips, sharp sand, carborundum, all these are placed inside the barrel along with the workpiece. And in this case, one more thing is there, that water or dilute acid solution is also used. So sometimes this is used, other times it may not be used as well. So what is that then? Mineral water is used here, or scrap punchings are added. And hardwood dust or leather scraps are used in the case of dry rolling to keep the workpieces separated. And as the barrel turns, the mass rolls over and falls to the bottom of the barrel. And this type of motion actually will lead to the cutting of the impurities. And it will cut it down, and the surface will be cleaned. Now the process of the power brushing. This one actually is the least used, and it is satisfactory for removing light rust only, very small type of rust, or loose adhering scale. But it is better suited for workpiece formed from tubing than for castings and forgings. So this power brushing is mainly useful for tubing type of process. And what are the advantages of that? It can be used in the manual, semi-automatic or integrated methods. So it can be used in any type of way, meaning we can use it manually or we can make it automatic also. So what are the types of brushes? They are in the form of wires or fiber cords. And wire wheel brushes actually are best for general purpose jobs, and they are used in metals like steel, stainless steel, nickel alloys, brass, bronze and copper. Whereas the cord type brushes are used for abrasive compounds, for polishing, finishing and deburring of the metal parts. Then the process of the machine polishing and buffing under the mechanical cleaning process. So polishing for making metal smoother is done, and we get a uniform surface through this. And the function of the buffing operation actually is to produce a smooth uniform surface with a very brilliant luster, very good luster. Buffing is the, actually you can say, a final type of finishing process. And semi automatic machines are actually used for these purposes for doing this job, and these machines actually carry a series of polishing and buffing wheels. So there are wheels for polishing and buffing, and commonly used polishing wheels are constructed in canvas or leather or muslin. So these are the substances or the materials which are used for making the polishing wheels. And for buffing, we use wheels which are made of the even cotton cloth, canvas, linen flannel or wheel disc. So polishing and buffing actions like wheels are usually divided into two broad categories. One is the cutting down type, that is removal of scratches and grain lines from previous operations, and the other one is the coloring type, which gives the product a final bright deep luster. So the first one is used for removing certain kind of impurities, and the second one is for giving us the final surface finish. Buffing compounds can either be greaseless or they may be having a grease base. About the grease we have read earlier. A mixture of glue base, which is a softening agent, and a mineral make up a greaseless compound. Besides polishing and buffing wheels, coated abrasive belts and brushes are also very much in use nowadays. And why? Because they have certain advantages, like we can change the belt very quickly to a new one if the previous belt has degraded, so we can change to the new one very quickly. Then there is the ability of the belt to remove stock rapidly to produce fine finish, plus there is the ability to produce a very fast and extremely cool cut. So these are the advantages of coated abrasive machines. So in this session we discussed about the surface treatment and the various cleaning process, and we discussed about the chemical cleaning, and we have covered it completely, and we were covering the mechanical cleaning, that is also somewhat covered, and we will do in the next session. Thank you very much.